Ladies and gentlemen, we're here again for more Ultra Q episodes.
First off, this is our second time recording this godforsaken intro. My god. We got 5 minutes into our last recording when I suddenly realized that the audio was totally off kilter. Like everything was just bad. And you know who was to blame? It wasn't me!
My mic wasn't plugged in. My mic went on the lamb.
It really did. So not only do I get to yell at him for that, I get to yell at him for other things as well. This is going to be an exciting episode just for that, because nothing else about this, except for maybe the tail end of this, is going to be event worthy.
Yeah, this sucked. These episodes were boring.
So, Christian, first things first, we have some things that you need to pay recompense for.
Spell recompense.
RECOMPENSE.
All right, good.
Yeah, bitch. Anyways, you didn't watch episode 19 the last time we did our Ultra Q episodes. Have you watched it since?
I watched half.
Mother of Satan. Why?
Because these episodes take a lot out of me, Sean.
But that was a good episode.
I know, but I have to be in a mindset to watch these episodes now. Given that these last, or you know what I mean? Like, these last 3 episodes suck.
Did I not ask you every time that we hung out online, hey, did you watch episode 19?
Listen, Sean, this argument goes both ways, bud.
No. You have a job, sir. You have a
job. What was the last episode of King OG you watched?
Probably number 10.
See? And there's like another 10 more you gotta catch up on.
And that'll be a good thing to binge when we actually get to that King OG episode that we do. What are we currently watching?
Unfortunately, we're watching Ultra Q.
You son of a bitch!
I don't want to watch anymore.
So, with what you've seen of 19, did you like it?
Yes. I did like the monster, the Kemar, whatever the hell it is. Because it's Mr. Ito from the Ultraman anime.
Mr. Ito?
Mr. Ito.
Oh, I'm like, what is a Mr. Chip doing here?
Mr. Dorito. But I will watch it, just not today. I finished these 3 episodes and I'm Ultra Q'd out.
I can understand that. Well, luckily, after we finish this particular podcast, we only have one more set of episodes to do, and then we'll be done. Then we get to rate everything for our season finale. Are you excited for that?
Yeah, I'm freaking pumped.
You should
to get this over with.
Because I got to figure out how we're going to do all the calculations for it, so I'm trying to figure that out still. But rest assured, we are going to rate and review pretty much every episode that we did and give a final score. And I love putting numbers on shit.
Listen, I just wanted to be over.
I know.
It's so taxing.
I know. So rest assured, it is almost over. Speaking of being almost over, we're not.
Not this episode.
Because what was the one that you accidentally watched that you need to go ahead and talk about today?
So, what is it? The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. It's a good book.
That is a good book. I really enjoy that story.
It's a sad book.
Too bad they turned it into a really crappy video game.
They did. But this episode is called The Metamorphosis.
Is there an actual person turning into a cockroach in this one?
No, but butterflies make you bigger, apparently.
What?
Yeah.
Explain. So,
it's a residence, or not residence, what am I saying? So there's this couple that go out looking for, what is it? I'm trying to remember what they called this certain butterfly.
The butterflies.
And these two, couple go out to look for it. And then all of a sudden they end up finding one that looks close to it, or what they think. The husband goes sprinting off like a little kid. And, his wife's falling behind, trying to catch up until she turns the corner and he's under the butterfly being like poisoned or something like that.
Now, mind you, it's not the size of a regular butterfly. These are the size of like those giant spiders that we saw in that other episode that we hated.
Yeah, they're like the size of a small kid. They're pretty big.
Yeah.
But it's just flapping over him, and then like a few shots later, he's massive.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's the beginning. And that's all you need to know. Big guy.
It has an interesting idea behind it. It's like, okay, let's go chasing butterflies, because obviously you don't go chasing waterfalls, but you might want to go chasing butterflies, right? That seems like it's a good message. And then they do, And then all of a sudden, no, don't go chasing butterflies.
Oh, because they'll make you huge. You
And
don't want to be you don't want to be a big
sometimes
guy.
some people want to say that they want to be the biggest person around, like Yuriko.
Yeah,
And she doesn't want that in this episode because it's completely the opposite of what she was in the 1/8 project, which was a better episode than this.
100% better episode.
So what happens from there?
So essentially, Yuriko catches wind of what they call like the Yeti, of myths of a Yeti. So they go looking for him, and then they end up encountering him. And I don't know if it's just these guys don't know how to shoot because there was like cops, but they're shooting at him, and I guess he's just bulletproof because no, he's getting no damage from those bullets.
Right? And he's basically bare chested. He's basically like a giant Tarzan wearing nothing
That's
but a
what it is.
loincloth.
Yeah,
He's the size of a skyscraper and he's in the jungle. And he seems to not really have a mind of his own, really, because he's
he's
just
like
wandering
feral.
around, like going through the jungle and just like destroying shit. And he's pretty feral.
That's pretty much it. And I know Yuriko ends up finding a way to shrink him down because his wife's still alive, and since she caught wind of a Yeti, she knew it was him.
And that came
And they
out
used
of
some,
nowhere because,
yeah,
oh, this is what bothered me. Okay, so you remember Doctor?
yes,
He's no longer called Doctor. He's now called
yeah,
Professor.
yeah. He downgraded.
Is he? Or did he? I don't know.
I
But I'm
don't know.
looking
I
at the
just know he's
wiki
called
now.
Professor now.
He actually has a real name. It's
Yeah,
Dr. Ichinotani.
and I
They
missed that
never said his
completely.
name before, as far as I'm aware.
As far as I'm aware, this episode is boring as shit.
That too. And I'm looking at it here because I don't remember them exactly figuring out how they were going to try and, help this bumbling giant, basically. But they decide to get this woman. Her name was Ayako, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
And they are like, let's try to lead him back to the jungle. And then they shoot him with this beam from like
an
this
X
little,
beam.
yeah, X beam. Might as well call it that. They just shoot him with that. That's part of like this little, almost like a little ray gun, but it's basically just this like little satellite dish that's sitting on the back of their Jeep. It's a
Yeah,
heat ray, basically.
pretty much.
And he starts rampaging away. They chase after him. And then suddenly he's no longer a giant and he remembers who he is. And that's the end.
And they walk away
It's
happily
like,
ever after.
what was the point of this?
It
Like,
was just to finish out because I always know like the back half of seasons are always like the slowest ones. I'm sure they just needed to put something together.
I
Mind you, they probably
guess.
thought this was a good idea at the time.
Maybe,
I didn't
I
care.
mean, this is basically Attack of the 50-foot woman, basically, or Attack the 50-foot man,
This
whatever you
was
want.
Attack on Ultra Q.
Attack on Ultra Q. All of what we've done is Attack on Ultra Q.
Yeah, this whole season has been Attack on Ultra Q.
But
Well,
this one was like it had an interesting premise to start with, but then it devolved into being just boring, trivial nonsense. And then it doesn't stop there because then we get the next episode, which is even worse.
and I admit it to Sean earlier. I was like, I was on my phone, and I think Sean was the one who pointed it out. Like, I was on my phone this whole episode because I didn't
Yeah,
really care for this one.
like from what I remember, writing down my notes because I put down a bunch of notes on the first episode we watched and then on the last one because if I'm really interested in something, I want to go ahead and write stuff down for it. That way
Yeah,
it'll help me remember everything about it. This next one, this god awful episode 23, I wrote down maybe two or three things. It is
I didn't write
bad.
anything down.
It is
I just know there was a
bad.
giant octopus.
Yeah,
But take it away, Sean. You'll know more than I do.
barely because just like you, I couldn't pay attention very well. I mean, I tried. I really tried. So the whole thing is basically there's this fishing vessel and it's out there doing its thing. These people are trying to fish, and then all of a sudden they get attacked. I'm like, "Oh, cool. It's getting attacked." That's not any different from anything we've already seen, but whatever. But it's out in the middle of the ocean. Cool. But all of a sudden, you find out it may be from a giant octopus, but you're not entirely sure until all of a sudden you see the ultrafilers. They're talking to the main boss from Yuriko's newspaper agency, and they go to this island where there's a bunch of people who are basically secluded from society. They have their own language, and they need a translator there to basically find out how to help them and also get rid of this giant octopus. From there, I could not tell you what was happening because it was a bunch of conversations that were going on that basically amounted to nothing. The giant octopus came out, the military arrives, it drops giant bombs at some point in the middle of the ocean
Yeah,
to, you know, either distract it or try to get it to move. I don't know. It just wasn't a good
it was
episode.
lame.
And like the other natives, they try to fight the octopus, but it just wasn't appealing. It wasn't. It just it was a boring episode.
Yeah,
It's
this episode did nothing for me.
at all. Like not even the design of the octopus looked cool. Like it just looked like an octopus.
Yeah, they just essentially just made a big octopus is all. There was nothing special about it. It almost looked like a real octopus. I'll give them that, but it was just nothing special, like at all.
Yeah,
Nothing that made me want to look into it more. That's pretty much it.
yeah. If anything, this is just another reason for me to say, "Oof, boy, am I glad we're out of that time."
Yeah,
Let's watch other boring shows that are from the modern age, right?
exactly.
So the last episode, this one, number 24, The Idol of Gaga. This one, I can
Gaga,
honestly say, oh,
Idol of
Gaga
Gaga.
Goga, my bad.
I was gonna say,
I'm going blind in my old age.
you're like 10, Sean.
I mean, I just turned 35, whatever. Um, but this one I can say I actually enjoyed. Out of the three
I
that we watched here, this one was a solid A.
looking at it now, the story was okay. I think what I really gravitated to more and I really liked it was the snail. Was the monster of the week.
Like
It was
Gail
a
the
giant
Snail
snail.
from It's Always Sunny.
It was Robo Snail from Rugrats, and it looked cool as hell because it had like a spinning shell. It was actually creepy looking because it started out small and it gets bigger, but it comes out of a statue.
It
So
was
like,
small, wasn't it?
yeah, they smuggled in a statue from another country, and a little girl gets kidnapped with the statue.
I feel like
And
you're just
it,
taking the highlights out of all this and just making it seem like, oh yeah, this was kind of interesting. Nah, bitch, this was actually really good.
like this, like I said, the story was okay. I was in it more for the monster because that was a cool ass. So like I told Sean, snail kaiju's are like super underrated. They need to bring those back more.
I mean, we did get that one. I think it was actually in our first or second podcast episode where they actually did have that snail
Oh yeah, I love
that
that episode.
died by walking over the cliff and falling into the ocean.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
It was because then the other one just ended up running away after blowing up the house, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's all it did.
Yeah. Um,
This one had a more climactic ending. There was actual like cool like battle sequences with the military and like the way they had to kill it was shooting it in the eye or they had to shoot both eyes out, something like that.
well, not only that, but you
Um,
keep on like downplaying the plot. But honestly, I thought
you
the
could go on with the plot,
the plot
but
I really enjoyed because it was basically almost like it was a not like an espionage thing, but it was more like an undercover act with the woman who honestly I thought was a bad guy at first.
yeah,
Um,
she seemed like it.
and until she actually like starts looking for the little girl who gets kidnapped at the very beginning of the episode. So let's backtrack for a second here. The very
But
beginning of the episode, there is these guys who are saying, "Oh, well, we're going to be looking out for this artifact that's going to be coming in. It should be coming in very soon." And this girl, she gets off of this plane with her father, who I believe is some sort of archaeologist, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken. And
yeah, he's an archaeologist.
when she gets off, she sees this woman, this guest actress. She ends up taking this, what the little girl perceives as a doll. She's like, "No, I want it back." And she goes like, "Hey, why are you leaving?" And then these other people who are trying to usher this woman away end up kidnapping that little girl because she's seen too much.
Yeah,
And
she
that's
knows.
that's how it starts, right? She knows too much.
She knows too much.
Keanu Reeves. uh, and then it starts turning into this thing where it's like, oh, so this woman's actually as an undercover agent. She's trying to track down these people who go into black market archaeologists or archaeology finds or whatever.
Yeah,
And she ends up saying, "Well, I'm actually really here to help out this little girl." She wouldn't have had to be there without the little girl getting kidnapped in the first place, but whatever. So she goes looking for her, and while she's there, she's also like looking at like these different scans or X-rays of, I guess they were carbon dating the actual artifact, and they said that it was like 6,000 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that. Yeah, it was a pretty long time.
Yeah, and they said that while they were looking at it, they noticed this little black dot that kept expanding with each scan, with each X-ray image. And she wanted to go investigate it while she was looking for the little girl. And as she does, she hears like this voice that's saying the curse of the 6,000 year Goga or something like that.
Yep,
And oh, it's basically it only it unleashes itself upon the arrogant ones.
that's
Uh,
what it is. Yeah.
so she's still searching for the little girl. This other guy comes in thinking that she might not be who she seems. I'm trying to remember what else happened. Oh, so then he goes in there, and then he actually starts looking at the artifact, and the artifact starts glowing eyes, right?
That
And
was a cool scene.
it was really funny considering how old it is. But like even if they were to do the same thing in the '90s, it would have done the exact same thing. They would have played it the exact same way.
Oh yeah.
Where with him picking up the artifact and them looking at it, the eyes end up zapping him, and he ends up being zapped to where he has no face, and he just
It's
dies.
such a weird thing. Yeah, he just dies. That was such a weird look. Like it's a cool concept though.
It was really cool. And so he drops the artifact as he dies, and out comes this little snail, and it's literally like not the size of a regular snail. I would say it's probably like the size of
Like a
no,
cat.
like a normal sized fist at first.
Oh, at first, yeah.
Yeah. So she's still searching for the little girl. The snail's leaving its snail trail everywhere, but no one can actually see it.
No.
And the bad guys, they're actually suspicious of her, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, the ultrafilers are trying to find out where this little girl went missing, like where she ended up like going,
Yeah.
and they find out that the guest actress, the undercover agent, she may actually have her, so they're trying to figure out where she went. And as they end up going, in another scene, randomly, which actually plays into everything, this bad guy who's also a hitman ends up killing this other dude who I guess he was tailing their hideout spot.
Yep.
And it turns out he was actually working with the undercover agent. So he ends up assassinating him with this really weak bullet, leaving no mess whatsoever.
Yeah,
And
it was such a like a it looked like he hit him with a water gun.
pretty much it was funny, but it was also pretty, I don't want to say terrifying, but it was actually pretty scary. I mean, it was borderline terrifying because of
Yeah.
the way that
It
you think
had a
about
it
it,
had
like
a hint
how
of
like
terror to it.
well, yeah, like think about it this way, considering that back then you had a lot of cars that did not have the whole enclosure that we would normally have these days.
Yeah.
So this guy was driving around with no top half of his car, and he's basically seen out in the open. He's fair game, and then
Oh
boom,
yeah.
just dies. Ultrafilers, they're busy tailing him because they think he may be actually, be able to lead them to this undercover agent, and they see that he's like slumped over, and they're trying to catch up to his car. June jumps in and slowly pulls the car over, and they listen in on his watch. And then the undercover agent is like, "Hey, hey, I think they have the little girl here." Blah 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 blah, and lo and behold, the bad guys are listening in, so they end up kidnapping her and then put her in like this little room that the little girl's in.
The
So
part where June jumps into the car was pretty funny because it's like a real like a legit shot of them, side by side in the car, and then when June jumps, it immediately goes green screen. It's so funny and like
did it? I didn't notice that.
it's such a classic like 80s show kind of like 80s 70s 80s show thing to do.
I did not notice that. Bravo to them, because I honestly didn't see that.
It was so noticeable for me. I picked it out in a heartbeat because it just looked so off after.
That's funny. So yeah, they do that. Now the next part is what boggles my mind, because they end up going back to Ultrafile HQ and they report to Yuriko's boss. Right? They're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, we think we know where the little girl is, and this is also where the undercover agent is." And then literally the next beat, They are already at the bad guys' HQ. They walk in, all three of them, and they're literally like under duress at that point. Like, what the hell?
What happened?
Like, did they say, "Hey, we're here for the little girl"? Like, what's going on? Like, literally, it goes from one scene setting to the next. It's like, what?
Yeah,
It's like, okay, whatever. Um,
it moves so quick.
and as they're going in, the snail you can see is getting little bigger, little by little, and now he's actually to the point where he's like the size of a room. And the
It's
coolest thing
huge.
about it is that when you actually first see the snail, you don't really pay it too much mind, but its shell actually has a drill on its back.
Yeah, it's Robo Snow from Rugrats. It looks so cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And oh man, it gets used later. It gets so much use. I
Yeah, it
liked this
does.
episode a lot, if you can't tell. Um, I'm going based off of memory too. I'm not even reading the wiki for this. They end up meeting up with the undercover agent and the little girl. They try to fight their way out, and they end up locking themselves in a room. And they're like, "Hey, blowtorch this door, and then kill that woman. Whatever you do,
Yeah,
kill that woman." It's like, why is that your utmost priority, and why do you have to blowtorch the door of all things? But
right.
okay,
He had it right. He that's all he wanted to do in his life was blowtorch a door down.
I guess so. And then they end up doing that, and so the woman, she has like this little device that was on herself, and it was like this, almost like this little James Bond like thing. She ends up taking it off of her, I guess it's her lapel,
Yeah,
and she throws it at the door and blows up the room and the door.
it's so weird. Yeah,
It
it's like
is.
gonna sacrifice us all.
It was so
Just open
bizarre,
this
but I'm like, you
door.
know what? Go for it. And then, if I remember right, after that, like the guy who was the hitman who was supposed to kill her, he gets knocked out for a second, and then he's like slowly getting back up, but then he's still haunted by that memory. Kill that woman. Kill that woman. So everybody else escapes. The snail of all things is so big now, it ends up taking its drill shell and then starts drilling the building and goes up into the surface from the actual building by just all the way up from the fucking. It's just great.
This
um,
was a good episode.
it really was. It really, really was. And the next part was a little hokey because it's just them trying to fire on the snail, which I think you dug. For me, the only thing that really got me was the fact that it was so dumb. The hitman, he sees the woman out there and
Oh
he's like
God, yes.
trying to fire on her out in the open, and they're trying to figure out how to blow up the snail with a bazooka, and that doesn't work. Like all of a sudden the army shows up. Hey, we got a bazooka. June, use the bazooka. All right, it's on my shoulder. Boom.
Hey,
Nope, doesn't work.
boom.
Let's drive away and figure something else out. They're driving away. Hitman misses his shot multiple times, so he goes right out in the open, directly in the line of the snail's path. And he's like, boom, boom, boom. Not even using his eyesight anymore because he was a good hitman before. Now he's just like, I don't give a shit.
Just
And
firing from the hip with
he
the
he
sniper.
is. It's so dumb. And then he does it for like 10 seconds, then turns around, and then the snail, which is going slow as shit, goes up behind it. And it's like, oh no! Ah! And then he's slowly smushed to death.
It's like that Austin Powers when he's running with the roller and
Oh
the
yeah,
guys in front of him like 20 feet
yeah.
away
That's
just
exactly
screaming.
what I was thinking. Yeah.
That's exactly what that scene
It
was.
was so dumb, but I'm like, you know what? It was deserved considering how dumb that guy was. It's like whatever. Now I don't remember them taking. Oh, I do remember. It was so weird how it happened. So after the snail squishes the guy, the snail ends up going inside back into its shell and then starts drilling back down into the surface of the earth again. And they're like watching all these news reports, and they're like, "Oh no, where's the snail going?" And the snail somehow ends up in a different part of Japan. Like, okay, don't know
Yeah,
why it didn't
miles
go
away.
elsewhere, but it just decides it wants to stay in Japan, and it just tries to go elsewhere. And then they light the fucker on fire.
It's you gotta do what you gotta do, Sean.
Yeah, but when they do it, if I remember right, and this is what weirded me out, it shrunk back into its shell, and then the shell became basically like a giant bowling ball.
Yeah, it did. Didn't it like go into the earth or something?
It tried to, But then it just like started knocking around inside the city, and then it ended up hitting a bunch of different buildings, and then it just went away.
Yeah,
So the ending was
it
a
kind
little
of just
weird, but the episode
yeah the
itself
ending.
was really good.
Yeah, they had to just finish that episode, I think, but it was a good episode, but definitely a lot better. Miles and leaps bound better than the other one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now I'm looking at the wiki for this last part here, and it says when Goga grows and starts to drill through the roof of the robber's hideout, a hand can be seen straightening the drill. Did you notice that?
Yeah, so there's like a lot of different things. So when it's first like born, I guess, it's going down the hallway. There's like a little hallway scene. It's pretty decent size. You could see like almost like a little power cord attached to it going around the corner.
Really? I didn't notice
Yeah.
that.
And then, when it's bigger,
My
you
eyes
see
must
the
suck.
strings holding the eyes up. But yeah, you do see a lot of the effects that they try using for it. But it just makes it a little bit better, I guess, because it looks so cool.
It does, because everything about that, the practicality of everything, it just looks so cool. This is like when it's one of those episodes where it's like, we really have to go all out for this, and they did, and it's not some
Yeah.
fucking giant octopus.
And you know what else is cool? It was in Shin Ultraman
I did
at
see
the
that.
beginning.
Yeah. That's one of the things. One of the things that I think that we're gonna have to do after we finish Ultra Q, or maybe not after Ultra Q, maybe after we do Ultraman, like the original series of Ultraman,
Yeah.
we should do Shin Ultraman, just like as a special.
Yeah, I'm actually just down to watch that tonight, record that episode tomorrow, because that's such a good movie.
I don't want to do that just yet. But yeah, all in all, this is a 1 out of 3 for me. As you can see, those first two really, really, really stunk.
Yeah, and like I'm sure for the time they were good episodes. I don't know how this was rated when this first came out, but they just don't hold up. They're just very goofy and
Rated you for unwatchable.
exactly. Like I just wanted to honestly I could have really just fallen asleep, but because I don't want to do that, I didn't.
Like I really wanted to like put on the current anime that I'm watching. I'm currently watching Digimon Cross Wars. I'm like, can I just go back to this?
I know.
But no,
Yeah,
I
I just was kind of scrolling on Instagram a little bit and then I realized before I knew it, oh, the whole episode's over.
yeah,
That second one.
yeah,
We got what,
no.
four more episodes
We
left?
do. So that actually brings up the next thing I want to point out. So I originally thought that maybe in order to try to prolong the ending of our first season here, let's go ahead and try to split that ending up into, 2 more episodes, make it 2 and 2 because since we only have 4. But no,
Yeah.
since these have been pretty hard to get through, I figure why not just one large bang and go through all
Just
4
get
at
them all done.
once.
Yeah, just in case the episodes don't really give us anything of substance to talk about because it's Ultra Q and there's a lot more misses than there are hits. Um,
Absolutely.
we just get it done with.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to do for the next episode. It should be easier to deal with because we're going to have it, excuse me, a little bit more to talk about, hopefully.
Hopefully.
But as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we are going to be doing a finale, a season finale for this. In case you haven't noticed, I know that we don't do this label it as seasons on YouTube, but on Spotify and all your other audio podcasts, I do list this as season one. So once we finish this, I am going to list our last episode for Ultra Q as the season finale.
Yeah.
I do plan on having us do a little bit of ratings for it. We're gonna put like numbers on different things in order to try and basically make sure we actually solidify our full value for this show.
Exactly.
And then Christian at the very end is going to tell us what we're going to be watching next. Not as specials, but as our next show.
Am I telling them now?
No. At the end of the season
Oh, I was gonna
finale.
say.
Yeah. So I just want to
All
make
right.
sure that we're pumping them up. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, dog. But yeah, I'll announce it on the last episode or on the last season finale,
And no,
whatever. I'll just announce it now on Instagram.
no, don't do it. Because here's the thing. I don't even know what it is. He hasn't told me. I haven't even asked him. I just asked him, "Hey, do you know what you want to watch?" He goes, "I got some ideas." And that's it. I don't want to know until it's time to know. I want to be surprised or pissed off, one or the other.
We're gonna watch Caillou.
What did I say about being pissed off? That's exactly it.
Yeah, no, I'll figure out the next show for sure.
I will say though, I have been paying attention to some of the Toku Twitter recently, or Toku X, whatever. I hate that
Oh yeah,
sidebar. I
screw it.
hate that it's being called X now, but whatever. I'm going to continue calling it Twitter for as long as I live. So, Toku Twitter has been posting a lot of stuff about Kamen Rider recently. Man, at least for me, unless you pick something Kamen Rider related, that new show coming out, Gotchard, that's definitely
Yeah,
going to probably be my intro to the series.
Gotchard looks so cool. I don't know. I guess it's gonna be released at the, or at least we'll see a cameo of him at the end of Geats or during the Geats movie. But I don't know. Maybe because I just want to watch a lot of things, Sean.
Do you know when
But
Gotchard is coming out?
I don't think there's any. I don't think there's a thing for it yet.
Do you know how far Geats is along then?
Geats is like on episode 40 something, I think.
Damn!
It's almost over. Hold on. Don't quote me on that yet, Sean.
I
I'll let you know
mean,
right now.
if I quote you on anything, it's the fact that you only watched half of 19.
Listen, I'm okay. I can live with that.
Whatever.
We're on episode 45 of Geats, which I want to start that soon, but I got to keep pushing through. I want to just go through all the Heisei errors, so I'm in the middle of Agito.
You already watched all
But
of
I will.
Kuga, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But
Remember,
if we start another Kamen Rider season, I'll be able to watch both at the same time. One for our podcast, one for my enjoyment.
remind me that I still need to actually give you a copy of the Kuga manga.
Oh yeah, and I'm
Uh,
gonna eat it. I probably won't, but
that was no. Who are you?
I am tired
I
because
can
these
tell.
episodes are draining.
This is something that I whatever. Anyways,
That's
so
it.
be expecting that finale soon. I'm hoping for some good things. I hope you are hoping for some good things. I hope the audience is hoping for some good things.
I just want it all to be a good thing.
I will say though, Christian does have something exciting planned. We are going to be doing Lost Galaxy soon, right?
Yeah, I guess that's gonna be a little bit easier to chew down than Ultra Q episodes.
No, it's not.
I don't know. That says a lot, but we'll see. I will finish Lost Galaxy,
Because
so we can talk about it.
if I'm not mistaken, what you told me today was, "Hey, when we're done with Lost Galaxy, I want to start Beetleborgs."
I would
That sounds
actually. That would
heavenly.
be fun.
That sounds absolutely heavenly. But who's holding us back, Christian?
Jesus.
I'm fucking done. Anyways,
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. Rewind this podcast for the next listener, and we'll see you next time.